Alright guys, what's going on? We are back here today with another video for you. And today we're bringing you a replay and a little bit of talk about the Tier 10 Grosser Kurfürst, the, of course, pinnacle of the German battleship line. The ship was never made in real life. The ship was a paper ship. The wargaming team has created both Friedrich de Gross, the Tier 9, and Grosser Kurfürst, the Tier 10. Kind of basically based off the Bismarck and her sister Tirpitz, which were the last ships made by the Kriegsmarine in World War II. They were never made. They didn't make anything beyond that. Historically, the ship is just kind of never existed. But in terms of in-game play style, the Kurfürst has been around a while, and this ship I feel like sometimes maybe the ship is maybe overlooked a little bit. This definitely isn't picked too often in kind of like ranked play or competitive play. In terms of the current Tier 10 meta for battleships, I feel like it's middle of the pack to maybe slightly below average. It just kind of, I mean, all the Tier 10 battleships besides Bourgogne and or whatever the Tier 10 steel ship is, and Conqueror, of course, are in the league of their own. But the other four ships, the Kurfürst, Montana, Yamato, and I'm forgetting the Republic, all kind of stay, within a couple percent points of each other. But the Kurfürst in game is the game's biggest, tankiest brawler. You have the highest health pool, 105,800. You have ridiculous armor. Besides the very, very front top of your bow and stern, you're above 32 millimeters, so this whole deck is 50 millimeters of the ship from basically just in front of the first turret to the back of the fourth turret. So you can't be, you're not going to take much damage in terms of HE damage from a lot of cruisers that don't have IFA. Even cruisers that have IFHE are going to struggle to pin the deck on the ship. And the bow has plating along the side of the bow, meaning that even Yamato is going to have a hard time getting shots through your nose because you have those plates to bounce off the side, and then the side armor on the ship has like a 380 millimeter armor belt. The ship is it basically is a just absolute tank. The ship has 12 420 millimeter guns, so you can get this thing with either 406 millimeter guns or 420 millimeter guns. I recommend the 420 because you're going to get a little more pin damage on cruisers. You are going to eat a 3-second reload increase, but I feel like tier 10, that's not really that big of a deal. You'll still be firing these guns at about 30 seconds with the adrenaline rush kick in. So um, the only thing I would say there is the 420s, like I said, will pin a little bit more in the way of some cruiser armor. You'll be a little less likely to be battle tanked by like a Des Moines or some shit like that. So uh, usually I would say go with the bigger guns here. And of course, the ship has got a ton of secondary guns on it. This is the penultimate secondary brawler battleship. You have that turtleback armor scheme, meaning you can't be citadeled close range for the most part by any kind of other battleship fires. You can kind of like pirate ship broadside of the battleships. And you have all those secondary guns. Those things do a massive amount of damage and start a lot of fires. And so I play the ship in a secondary build. That's basically advanced firing training, manual fire control for my secondaries. And I try to get close and I try to brawl. So you see the tier matchmaking here, tier 10 with aircraft carriers, pretty standard stuff. Good bit of tier 8s in the game. Limited amount of cruisers, only 4 in the game. We're on Sleeping Giant, and we're heading off to the A cap. Our poor Fletcher over there to my right was already clicked on for half his health by the aircraft carrier. And for some reason, our Grozavoy is smoking us up. So just a banner start. So the A cap over here is usually a big shit show. So what you want to do in this cap here is you don't want to go too far around the corner early on. And in most battleships, this is not a great idea. But the Kurfürst is, of course, our exception because the Kurfürst is such good armor. You get to kind of come around broadside, and you can sit a lot more broadside. So, for example, this North Carolina, as me and him fight, even if he was a tier 10, I would be winning this fight because I can get a lot more chances for citadels on him, and then but he can't citadel me back. Now we're going to get 5 hits there for 12,000 damage and knock out a turret. I would have hoped for a citadel there, but I overled him just a hair with those shells falling at his turrets, and they should have landed in the middle of the ship. I'm going to go ahead and pop Hydro and keep pushing. We already saw a torpedo set go by. Our Atago's moved into the cap, and we don't see a lot of ships right now. The Jutland is going around the cap on the other side. So we're going to load back up, and we see a Minotaur coming around dead broadside. Not sure what our friend here was thinking, but he is going to be promptly deleted from existence. 43,000 damage, first blood, death strike with 3 citadels. And of course, I have to be a jackass in chat. I kind of regret this, because I mean, I don't know, it's just kind of bad manners, but making sure he realizes that's not how you play the Minotaur. Okay, so we're already at 63,000 damage, literally 4 minutes into the game. We're, of course, being dropped by the aircraft carrier, because why not? That'll be a theme throughout the course of the game. But we're going to keep pushing around this cap because now we see the North Carolina and Missouri have already turned, and our Otago is kind of holding on the fort to our right side. So we, are going to go ahead and keep going. This Prince Eugen's coming around the corner. He's broadside as well. So sure, I'll take 6 hits in the Citadel. These guns are very good at getting Citadels. They're very punchy. They have a very high, I don't remember if it's the corrupt value of these shell or what. One of the values gives this thing a great opportunity to pen and get a lot of Citadels. But the one thing you are going to be pulled back on a little bit is the German dispersion. German battleships, if you played any of them, we know that their dispersion is not very good, and the ship is not, it's not horrible, but it is kind of frustrating. When you play something like Montana and you play this thing, it feels like a shotgun. We're going to try to get another hit on that Prinz Eugen. Our secondaries were going off on him, and we do manage to get a fire, but then we immediately sink him afterwards with our main guns. So that's 2 cruisers out of the fight. That's over 100,000 damage. And of course, we've just broken the 15-minute mark in the game. So we're going to go ahead and start turning. We're going to push up a little bit. And in this case, I want to go ahead and get back towards A and get back towards the middle of the map because I could chase the North Carolina and Missouri around, but it would take me out of the fight for a long period of time. And usually, if your team wins a flank like this hard, that means the other flank is not doing so well. Now, looking at the map, it looks like D is actually doing fine. We have a destroyer in there, we have control of it. But I assure you, like, even if it does look like that a lot of times, unless the other team is just getting absolutely stomped, I mean, usually if your flank wins, the other flank is probably not doing so well in these sort of domination games. There's 2 caps, that are neutral on either side. So we're going to go ahead and turn back in here. So we take a little bit of damage there from the North Carolina before he goes down, and now we have the Missouri angled at 14k. And this is what I was talking about with these guns. They're not the most accurate, but they do have a good punch to them. That guy was somewhat angled at 14k, not a lot, but he was somewhat angled, and we still managed to punch through and get a Citadel at that range. So that's not something that any other tier 10 battleship couldn't have done, but this ship just these shells seem to have a really good AP pin to them. So they, just sometimes you get Citadels that maybe you wouldn't get. Like if I was on a Montana, I probably don't get that Citadel, and maybe Republic gets that Citadel. Not sure. So anywho, we're gonna take 7,000 more damage here because we're kind of broadside, but it's a Kurfurst, so you can kind of do that. The advantage of course, not being able to be Citadeled with this turtleback armor scheme is even when you take damage like that, some of it is repairable versus Citadel damage, which is not repairable. So even if you eat like a massive, say 20, 25k hit on this, on this ship, like you get hit for that much, you're not always gonna that's not the same as getting a 25,000 damage Citadel or 2 Citadels on your ship, because that damage is completely unrepairable and you're screwed. Whereas this ship, you can just kind of heal a little bit of it back. It's just a really, really tanky ship. So we're up on points right now, but our team is, we're up in points and kills. But that tide will start to turn because look at D now. Just a couple minutes later, the other team has completely rolled the Delta cap, which, like I said, is to be expected. Sometimes your team can get in there and steal a cap early and then get out, and then eventually their team, gets the gumption up to push in. But we're heading back towards the middle because we ideally want to either get into Charlie and clean this up for our team with that Jutland in there if our aircraft carrier can't do it, or we want to go ahead and start getting a crossfire on these ships sailing from D towards Charlie. We know that their fleet is generally going to move, if you're looking at my ship, left to right across our screen. We see the Kurfurst, we see the Minotaur out there, the other Kurfurst. Like, they're all going to move from left to right now across the screen. So we want to get out here, and we want to turn our ship and angle away from them so we can kind of fire at their broadsides as they're pushing in towards us. As you see, pretty quick, we were up in points in ships just a minute ago, and now we've lost a couple ships, and we're actually now about to be trailing them. We're trailing them in terms of ship count, and we're about to be trailing them in terms of points if they manage to cap Charlie. We're still being attacked by the aircraft carrier. Kurfurst does have decent AA guns, but it's, again, no battleship in this game at tier 10 is going to be able to really defend itself against the aircraft carrier at this tier. Even if you do spec full AA build, I mean, the carrier's still going to get his first strike off on you. Now, if your AA build, the follow-up strikes probably won't be very good or non-existent, but you know, not something you're gonna be able to do consistently in this game. You'll shoot down some aircraft. I mean, get me wrong, we only have 17 shot down this game, but we have been focused pretty heavily. So we're gonna go ahead and turn away here. Missouri's kind of waiting for us to give a broadside, and we do eat some more damage, but again, that's somewhat repairable damage. And you can get away with shit like that in Kurfurst that you maybe can't get away with. Like if I was in a Yamato or a Montana, I may have ate 1 or 2 Citadels right there because that guy was ready for me. But was it's not a big deal in the Kurfürst. My secondaries fired late because I kind of forgot to set them on the Missouri. The Kurfürst secondary firing range is 11.6 kilometers when you fully spec it out. So, but with manual fire control for secondaries, which makes them significantly more accurate, you have to set that yourself. And I was just kind of spacing out. I was trying to think about getting around this corner, and I just didn't really think to set them on there. We shoot the Minotaur in his turn, maybe trying to score a big hit on him there, and we just missed the shells. That was bad aim on our part, nothing to do with dispersion. We're taking a little bit of shell fire from the other two Kurfürst. I've got to be careful because I don't want to, I pop Hydro because we're getting close to C, and I want to see where this Jutland or Gearing is still in here. But it looks like the Gearing had shot his torps earlier, and we do manage to avoid them, although we probably would have been only 8-1 otherwise. Taking a shot on the Minotaur, and we come up with another Dev Strike for well over 30,000 damage and 2 more Citadels. And again, don't broadside the Minotaur. It usually doesn't end well. So our rampage against the Minotaurs continue as our team has gotten back in the lead in terms of points. We're up to 169,000 damage, almost 2 million potential damage tanked, and you have 2 dev strikes. That Baltimore's creeping around behind us. Again, I didn't have my secondary set on him, and like I said, with manual fire control, my secondaries would have automatically engaged him, and it would have probably told me he was there, and I could have turned and hit him. But I've got bigger problems to worry about. I could turn my guns back and kill that Baltimore, but I trust the Conqueror on my team to do it for me. He's got his guns turned already, and I mean, it's a Conqueror versus a Baltimore. It shouldn't even be a contest. So I'm going to turn out. I'm going to try to go ahead and make a turn here because I want to get turn before these two Kurfürst really get a good focus on me. Again, it's not a great idea because these guys, if they were paying attention, could blap me pretty hard and maybe even kill me. We're flooding right now, but we are holding our repair party to see if there's a second hit from the aircraft carrier. I remember pretty much all aircraft carriers get 2 hits on you anymore. We get Confederate and high caliber both from that shot with a 17,000 damage volley on that semi-broadside Kurfürst. But we go ahead and repair that flood. Remember now, too, flooding is the same damage as fire, so it's not as important. But we're trying to survive here. Our heal's going down. We go down to 86 health. Can we bring it back up? Looks like the Kurfürst doesn't have another gun to put on us right now. We're turning away. We're hiding behind Minotaur to see with our Minotaur to our right here. CV, he does 3,000 damage. Our friendly Minotaur is shooting AA guns off. We're trying to get around the island, but of course this dude drives right in front of us. Our secondaries are going off. Will we survive? Will we get out of here? Oh boy, it's going to be close, team. And 6,000 health. And the other Kurfürst going behind the island. CV doesn't have a plane in the air right now, and it looks like we're going to escape. 2,028 health to our name. We undetect, and we are safe for a moment. Now, the enemy aircraft carrier should have just flown his planes back over here and clicked on me. Why he didn't, I'll never know. But we're going to go ahead and be greedy as hell, and we're going to shoot through this island at the enemy Kurfürst, see if maybe we can get one more shot on him. Our Conqueror went over and decided to just murder their midway, which is fine with me. 100%. And of course we're detected. The Kurfürst detection range is absolutely god-awful, by the way. Even with a concealment build on the ship, it's bad. It's bad with a full concealment build, and it's horrendous without a concealment build, which is, that not having that on your captains. So something you got to just kind of deal with if you're looking to play this ship. You're going to be spotted from the space station. 4,800 damage on the Kurfürst, or health left on the Kurfürst. Can we finish off this kill? And we sure can. 4,800 damage is 4 guns do manage to, actually, 7 guns managed to land, but 3 of those bounced. And it looks like we might wind up securing this game. 226,000 damage, 2.3 million potential damage tanked. Boys and girls, we are not done just yet. We're going to take a pot shot at the enemy Kurfürst. This shot should have been led higher and a little ahead. Instead, it was shot like that, so it's going to be kind of bad. But we're going to go ahead and turn back in here. There's only 2 ships left in the enemy teams. Now we're in full-on shameless damage farming mode. And we're going to see if we can maybe get rid of this Missouri. So some final thoughts on the Kurfürst. If you're looking for a ship in randoms, this ship is really good. If you're grinding the German battleship line, you're going to probably have a good bit of fun with Bismarck, because Bismarck is like got a lot of maneuverability and stuff that these ships don't have in a higher tier. But if you're on Friedrich de Gross can be a real stepping stone. I did not enjoy that ship at all. In fact, I free XP'd past it. I got through all the modules, and then I was just on the long grind, the 200 whatever thousand damage or XP to grind for Kurfürst. I couldn't do it. I just free XP'd the ship. So if you're wondering, like, is Kurfürst just a bigger Friedrich? Yes, but it's a lot better. It's a whole lot better than the Frisian Gross experiences. Even with the buffs, that ship's still really bad, and this ship is way better. And if you're looking at which build to build, honestly, the tanky build is not bad. If you build this thing just like a pure tank, superintendent, concealment expert, fire prevention, and all that stuff, you know, you're gonna have very consistent games. But for some reason, I don't know, the secondary build in the ship is just so much fun to me. And to me, it's like you can play this ship without the secondary build, and it's fine. But like, I feel like a Montana and those other tier 2 battleships do the job better. So trying to get it cracking here, and it's just not the game's not cooperating with us. So I would recommend this if this is your first tier 10 battleship, play it in the tanky, just general purpose battleship build. If you have other tier 10 battleships or you just want to have a lot of fun with the ship, build it for secondaries. It's a lot of fun. It is so much fun. That's what we played today, and all our secondaries weren't massive contributors. They definitely did some work, and we went up in this game with just over 250,000 damage. First blood, double dev strike, high caliber Confederate, and a Kraken. So Kurfurst, highly recommended. Ton of fun. Big German tanky monster. Anyway, guys, that's what I got for you today. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.